Hello, so today we have a question about tabling. I want to thank TherapyNotes for sponsoring us today. So the question is, should I pay for a tent or space at a local festival or street fair or community event? The spot itself isn't as big an investment as getting the table set up, brochures, swag, etc. Is it even helpful for an individual therapist? What if it's niche specific, like a mom expo if you work with moms? So there are a few circumstances in which I would consider it, and we'll go through some pros and cons. The first is if it's really inexpensive. It sounds like renting the space is not so bad, so that might be a plus. I would say if it's highly niched, you give the example of like a mom expo, so we'll kind of go through using that as an example. If you can make it non-threatening, most people don't want to step up to like a therapy or a mental health or even a self-care table. It feels like they're admitting something in front of all these other people walking around if they walk up to you. I would also say only do it if you can make your table look great, because if it looks kind of like empty or sad, people aren't going to come up to you and it's a bad reflection on your business. So let's use the example of a mom expo. Normally when I'm talking about website copy and things like that, I'm all about hitting the pain points, making sure that your person's lived experience right now is reflected in what you talk about initially in your website. However, when we're talking about tabling, because that's intimidating or people don't want to be like publicly associated with the pain points, you want to hit on what they want. So maybe your table says, magically find more time for you, or how to balance it all. And I know like how to balance it all, we know that that's not possible, right? Like I have a private practice life balance course in the Abundance Party, and I'll give you the spoiler alert. It's really about how to prioritize and get rid of some things because there's just no way for us to balance all of it. So maybe balancing it all, thinking about your ideal client and what this mom really, really, really wants. I would make sure that you have swag that brings people to you, things that are really compelling, not pins, not notepads. It might be a toy that a kid would really like. Some that I saw recently that I liked were like squishy, those face masks that are really like, they're made of beads and squishy inside. Because that for me, I was like, ooh, I want to get one of these for my kids to play with and for me. You could raffle something really cool off. I know at a conference I went to recently, they had loose teas and a tea ball, and you could kind of like make your own tea. It was interesting and cool. So think about what your ideal client and what they'd be like, oh, cool. Because most of the time, let's be honest, most of the time when we're at those kinds of places, at a conference or a community event, the only reason we go up to those tables is because we want that thing on the table. We don't care what they're selling. We just want that free thing. So make sure your free thing is really compelling, and be prepared to talk to people who may not want to talk to you. You can give it a shot. This is not something for a shy therapist to do. I would say you have to be very outgoing to be comfortable doing a table most of the time for your table to be effective. I'll give you a recent experience that I had that made me be like, I don't think I'm even ever going to table again. And I am extroverted and super outgoing. There's an eating disorder symposium that I rented a table at. It was thousands of dollars to rent this table. It was a lot of money. And then I spent hundreds of dollars to get my little setup just right. I will say I'm next to all these treatment centers who have like $10,000 to spend on a table and make it super cool. So mine looked pretty dinky in comparison, I'll be honest. My goal was to get more people on my email list, and thus more people in the party or into the inner circle, like people who wanted more support. I wanted to be able to have them as clients. I felt like because it was an eating disorder symposium and I work with primarily therapists and a lot of dietitians, and because I'm an eating disorder therapist, I was like, this is going to be awesome. These are my people. Not so much. I got more in one day by doing nothing, just like my usual email list signups. I got more in one day passively than the combined, I think, 4 days of the time that I was tabling. It was awkward. I was like, oh, hi, how are you guys doing? You want to come over here? Like, it was not my thing. So I think maybe going to a conference and seeing how the people behind the tables do it would be helpful, maybe. I hadn't paid that close attention, to be honest with you, before. So all that to say, I want you to kind of think through this through these filters. I'm not going to give you a yes or no because I don't know. I know that I've had some clients who have gotten clients through tabling, but it was usually at highly niched things where they made it not threatening. There are more effective, less expensive ways to market your practice that I would encourage you to do first. If you need help figuring out what those are and best practices for them, we have a whole course about that in the Abundance Party called Marketing Fundamentals. If you have a question for Ask Allison, please shoot me an email over at ask@abundancepracticebuilding.com, and I'm happy to answer them. Y'all have a good day.